Good morning, all. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's the March 14th Pi Day meeting of the Doña Planning and Zoning Commission. Can we have a roll? Anyone, please silence your cell phones or turn them off. And anyone wishing to speak on any of the issues up today, please sign in with Eileen over there so that we have a record of who's doing it and that it's legible. Okay. Can we have the roll call of officers, please?
Commissioner Underwood,
Present.
Commissioner Montañez, Commissioner Lear,
Here.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Present.
Commissioner Acosta, Commissioner Zerniak, Chair Zargis.
Present. Okay, approval or changes to the agenda? Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Underwood, second by Commissioner Lear.
Chair, before we move forward, because I know there's a lot of people here today, we do have a request on the first case of a new business to postpone to the next meeting. We do have the applicant's representative here, Mr. Paul Pompeo, and if he wishes to come up to the podium and address the commission before we set the agenda.
Good morning. I suppose you need to be sworn in. Eileen?
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Paul Pompeo, 3500 Sedona Hills Parkway.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is a truth under penalty of law?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Paul Pompeo with Sauter Miller and Associates. My understanding is today that we're down 3 commissioners. There's only 4 at this meeting. That means that we're, in order for a case to be successfully passed by this board, we have to have a 4-0 vote. Because of the complexities of this issue and the issues that are raised, I believe that it's, for my client's due process, that we postpone till the 28th of March, date specific.
We have, due to changes, they're asking for postponement and tabling of case number Z24-002.
Okay.
If there's no opposition to that, we'll just
It's a postponement.
postpone it till the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, just to clarify, that this case will be heard 2 weeks from today here in the chambers at 9 a.m. So March 28th.
Okay, next be approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 22nd, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of February 22nd, 2024.
I second.
Okay, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, old business?
Mr. Chair, point of order. Do we need to approve the, have a voice vote to approve the agenda? I don't think we did that.
No, we didn't. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
A motion to approve as amended, which is deleting new business case 002.
I'll second.
Okay, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, old business, we move on. Case number Z23-018, Jose Coronado.
Morning, Chair, Commissioners.
Chair, and then just real quick before we start, I know we have a lot of members here in the audience. Just so everybody knows, the case, the zone change on the Old River Road has just been postponed to March 28th. So I know everybody's here waiting on that one. I just want to let everybody know, so they don't have to sit through the whole hearing for the first case. Can we get a notice in the mail on this? Because it was postponed to date certain. There's no need for a new letter. I mean, I can do a courtesy one so everybody knows. But just so everybody knows, it's been set for March 28th. So 2 Thursdays from now at 9 a.m.
You're going to request on the basis.
Good morning. please state your name and address for the record?
Christopher Valencia, 845 North Motel Boulevard.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Morning, Chair, Commissioners. For our first case today, might look familiar, we had it a few weeks ago. Trying to move there. So agenda item 4A, Z230018.
Take your mask off.
Good morning. Sorry, good morning. This is Ramon Hernandez. I had also requested a postponement on this matter as well. I wasn't sure if we were going to hear that or not.
Okay, so I actually have the applicant here, and the applicant said that we wanted to move forward. He said that his representation, you yourself and your co-counsel, Mr. Stage, are online, and the applicant did say that he wanted to move forward. Is that correct? Are you okay with that now that we have you both on Zoom? Or would you like to
I
speak?
think as a matter of due process, we should postpone it, but if he's adamant that we continue, then the decision is ultimately his.
Then I need to speak to the applicant then. Just give me a few minutes, please. Chair, I need to speak to the applicant just because his attorneys are on Zoom right now, and I think there's just different communication right now, so let me just speak to him. Just give me a few minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. Yes, the applicant did say he wanted to move forward. He does have support from the neighbors, as well as people simply visiting and to change their schedule, just be rude. So he wanted to move forward this morning.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Get started. The applicant's here, owners Jose Coronado, located at 750 Lonesome Road, west of Las Cruces, New Mexico, off of West Picacho Avenue. It's at a D2L, a medium-density residential zone, and the request is to change a zone change from a D2L to a C3 on a 1.5 acre portion within a 4.25 acre lot to operate a fence company. Here's a location map you can see right off of West Picacho Avenue, south of there. The 4.25 acre lot, which is also the residence of the applicant. Here's the aerial photo of the existing site. The proposed fence company, which is in the center of the property, exists now, and the zone change is just for this area in the middle. The rest of the property will remain as residential. You can also see in red, there's a 2019 permitted structure there, and then everything else that's around that is unpermitted and has not been permitted. There's also a pipe fence entrance, and here on the bottom south end of the property, there's his residence, which is, I'll show you, it's above the hill. It's on top of the hill looking down. The zoning map here shows you a lot of D2L, all in yellow, next to orange, which is mixed, and here I'll also show you the KOAs to the east. We also have mobile home park there as well, but showing you mostly that's all D2L surrounded by some commercial. Prior to February 2nd of 2017, the subject property was zoned an ER4. It was to provide for single-family site-built homes and low densities with recreational facilities and public uses. After the adoption of the UDC, the property was zoned D2L, which is comparable to the ER4 zone designation. A little bit of background. The applicant visited the Community Development Office on November 21st to come into compliance with violations on his home on the property. During the conversation, we uncovered other unpermitted structures on site, like a large metal canopy, 2 Connex boxes. There was a rock wall fence built around a carport, and a larger building next to the initial building from 2019. Building Services requested the halt of all construction on site until the zone change is heard. The D2L classification does not allow for a fence company. The staff concluded that a C3 designation would be the most appropriate due to the amount of commercial activity occurring on site, which is basically, it's the fabrication of fences. A little bit of background, timeline. August 7, 2018, the residents did purchase the home. In 2019, building permit was approved for the large building. That was the initial building circled in red. On October 2nd, the flood inspector did visit the property because there was a complaint of excessive grading done without permit. We also found out there was Vaquero Fence Company operating on the site. There was the unpermitted structures as well, the Connex boxes, a large canopy overhanging east of that the initial building. There was a lot of, there was additional building labeled carport with a rock wall that was not permitted, also found out. And there was extensive work done inside the property and outside the property, which is what it prompted the inspectors to open the case. On the 21st of November last year, the applicant did visit the office again in order to get rid of the property violations and to come into compliance. The applicant has continuously tried to come into compliance, so that's a good thing. This applies for a zone change to a C3 commercial zone to operate his fence company. It is directed by building officials to move forward the zone change before any kind of permitting for the business, to wait for building fees and costs. Here's the proposed site.
Chair, could I ask Chris a question?
Yes, sir.
You said that in that statement there that it came in to bring the violations into compliance. Has that been completed?
We have to move forward with the zone change first because since it's working with the commercial business, we want to move forward with that before we permit anything else that's due to that business.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. This is the proposed site, and what is existing right now is the home is here in the corner. This is Picacho Avenue here, and this is Lonesome Road, Weintraich Road here as well. And the meets and bounds here is the extent of the fence company, which does exist today. Here's the land use aerial. I'm going right there. Here is KOA next door, next to Weinreich Road. Mobile home parks as well. There's a little bit of a commercial, I think there's a little industrial pocket here as well, but the rest of this is all D2L, residential. I visited the property, and this is the subject parcel. We're here where I'm standing where the star is on Weinreich Road. I am looking west down to the valley. Here is the fence company shop right there as well, and then off to the bottom corner where the residence is here off to the west of that. Assumed property line is about right there. I am on Lonesome Road, looking down Lonesome Road. Here's the pipe fence entrance, and the home on top of the hill looking down on the fence company. This is another image looking east down Lonesome Road. Weinreich and the KOA is right there. Picacho Avenue is right there. Looking in the middle of the property, looking east. Here's the fence company. We're going to get into the staff analysis, the zone change evaluation and requirements. There were 14 letters of notification were mailed to the property owners on February 16th, advising them of the UDC of the zone change request. There was one letter of support that was mailed here a few days ago, and that's the letter in front of you from a local resident. There was no correspondence in opposition received on the second time. There was legal ads placed in the News on February 18th, and there were also signs posted in a timely manner. Here are the P&Z signs posted on the entrance off of Lonesome Road of the public hearing, and this is the second public hearing sign off of Weinreich. In the back, you could see the shop. This is the area of notification, 300 feet from the property line. We're looking at the staff analysis of questions. Are there any potential homes? And the applicant is not proposing any additional homes within the site, on the site. No change in population, nor change in demographics. The applicant will need to obtain a driveway permit from NMDOT to access Picacho Avenue from Lonesome Road. The applicant states that there is a supply that happens every Wednesday via semi-truck, but the driver does pull into the property so that off of Lonesome Road, so there's no there's no traffic on Lonesome Road when there is material delivered. This zone change will allow the property to be used as a commercial site in order to legally operate the fence company. The building services also request that a new septic system be built to accommodate business occupancy. It must be installed in the existing shop if the zone change is approved. Right now, there is no septic tank for the fence company. The existing residential utilities and road infrastructure capacities must be upgraded if the zone change is approved due to the higher demand of usage of the parcel as a site for the fence company. There has been no environmental analysis done for this area or conducted in this area. The commercial use of the 1.5 acre parcel is not compatible with the surrounding residential properties. This commercial activity would have a detrimental effect on the residential neighborhood. Also looking at the implementation of the best management practices for the development, it's recommended by planning staff that a BMP plan be enacted to control dust, reduce noise, and limit noxious gases that are produced of a fence company. And some of the activities that will occur on site are fabrication, which uses welding, gate assemblance, some storage of equipment, of course, for trucks, trailers, and tractors, storage of inventory, and then maintenance of vehicles and equipment. Looking at decisional criteria, the cost of the land is not a determining factor for this zone change. And the land use for the said parcel is residential that has not evolved from that designation. Looking at the Plan 2040 comprehensive plan, this proposed development is in conflict with the comp plan. The proposed zone change does not complement the existing low-density residential use that surrounding the property. The zone change does not follow the goals and actions of the comp plan. Goal 2.2, Action 2.8.2.3, and Goal 3.1. Speaking of the goals, the goal G2.2 was to ensure regulations supported the plan requirements. The action A2.3 was to develop specific types of communities and districts with benchmarks for infrastructure. And goal G3.1 was to develop in appropriate areas. Looking at the decisional criteria, the Miller criteria, there was no need to cover or perfect a previous ordinance or mistakes or injustices not applicable for this project. There's also no evidence of a change in conditions. And the different land use category is more advantageous to the community as articulated in comp plan through section D5A. This requested zone change will not be more advantageous to the community and is in conflict with the comp plan. Decisional criteria D6, if denied, the applicant could still use the property as allowed under D2L. The hardship is self-imposed and it has been created by the applicant. There's no decisional criteria for D7. The proposed zone change does not require capital expenditures by the county, and the location is dependent on a major thoroughfare. However, accessing the applicant's parcel is from a county-maintained road off of Lonesome Road, and will require a permit to access Picacho Avenue from the applicant's property. It's not strip zoning. Looking at spot zoning, the disharmony with the area, yes, there is a disharmony in the surrounding area. The size of the area to be rezoned, we're looking at, well, again, 1.5 acre on a 4.25 parcel, and there is no benefit to the community to having this parcel rezoned to commercial. Looking at staff findings, the property is outside of any incorporated municipal zone with authority within the Doña County, and the P&Z Commission has jurisdiction to review the case. The requested application is consistent with the requirements of the UDC and general notice requirements for the public hearing of a zone change. The zone change request for a C3 does not satisfy decisional criteria for a zone change, and that the zone change is not appropriate and reasonably necessary to protect the public interest. The zone change is not appropriate as there is not a compatible existing commercial development close by. There was no need to cover and perfect a previous defective ordinance, and there has been no sufficient change in conditions to make this zone change appropriate. The zone change to C3 zone is spot zoning, as the proposed zone change would not be in harmony with surrounding areas. The size of the development is not appropriate for the area and would not benefit the community by increasing the amount of privately owned commercial pockets of land. The zone change will be in significant conflict with the following goals and actions of the comp plan: Goal G2.2, Action A2.3, and Goal G3.1. Therefore, on the staff recommendation, based on our findings of fact, the staff analysis and agency comments, staff recommends the denial of case Z23018. a zone change from D2L to C3 to allow a fence company to operate. Gentlemen, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
Like I said earlier, the applicant is here today. He did bring support as well as his counsel and attorneys on Zoom, and they can yield questions. I as well can yield questions.
Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead, Dan.
According to the map, see if I'm reading this right, there is C3 in the area, but not, this parcel is not connected to any of those other C3 units.
Correct. The image shown on the screen right now, it's the D2L right there. And then split right down the middle that's Weinreich Street Road. And then to the east of that, that's mixed use, DM, but it's not connected to any commercial
Okay,
close by. The closest commercial is a C2, and I'm gonna move my cursor. C2 is right here.
okay.
That's simply the zone. There aren't any really operations going on at C2 now,
Okay,
but that is the zone there.
okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Chris. Just the applicant here. If you'd come forward, please, and be sworn in.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Jose Coronado, 750 Lonesome Road.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
So I have support from my neighbors. You know, most of them are business owners as well. They kind of see the troubles that I'm having with me being able to run my business off of that property. I don't see no effect to the community just because it's in a corner lot. There's multiple businesses within under a mile from that radius where I'm located. So I would like to see if it would get approved because you can clearly see there's more C3 or C2. It wouldn't just be my parcel. If I was the only business owner in that area, I understand why I wouldn't get passed, but there's multiple businesses besides my own in that area. And I have tried to come in compliance with the violations that I have, but like Christopher mentioned earlier, nothing will get passed until the zone change gets passed. And as soon as I got the letter, I tried to come up and bring them up to code right away, but that's impossible until the zone change gets fixed.
And if we may,
Sorry, Commissioner. Sorry, Commissioner Underwood?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Do I understand correctly that you installed a large building or a building without a permit?
Yes, sir. It's considered a carport.
Can you
yes,
explain that?
Yeah, so we built it during COVID. I know you guys weren't shut down during COVID.
Speak up a little bit.
That extension to the shop was built during COVID, during the pandemic. I take full responsibility for not coming to pull the permits because I know you guys were open during that time. But eventually it was going to get passed. The structure was built up to code because I didn't want to
I'm
build.
not asking about the code issue. I'm asking about the fact that this is a zoning violation. That's why you're here. That would have been cleared up if you had made the application
Yes.
for the building permit. You're aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be my biggest concern, and I see that this is a self-imposed hardship. So I'm just asking the question, do you understand that you did this without a permit?
Yes.
And that you would have learned that you were outside the zoning if you had done that?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So are there other alternatives? Can you move to a different place that's zoned properly to have your business like that or not?
As of right now, I can't even find land to rent so I can move my business. And the bigger fact is I can't afford it to move somewhere else. We already purchased that piece of property and it's been paid off for already. So we're a small mom and pop shop. You know?
I understand, and I do sympathize with that. I'm just having difficulty if we set some sort of precedent because you did it without a permit,
Yes.
and now we're going to change the entire zoning in that area, that I have a concern about. So,
Okay.
and if we may,
Go ahead.
sorry, we didn't want to speak out of turn.
Okay,
Good
sir,
morning.
before you start, you need to be sworn in.
Sir.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
This is Ramon Hernandez. Address is 1626 Santa Thomas Street, and to my left is Mr. Steven Say.
Address 909 North Alameda.
Do you affirm
Bosco.
excuse me. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, to begin with, I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding. There's an indication that we're both basically dealing with COVID diagnoses. I apologize. One diagnosis, one symptom. There is fence fabrication. There's not actually fence fabrication occurring on the property. What's occurring on the property is storage of materials. All of the fences are fabricated on site of the customers. So they're not really actually fabricating. All of the business itself is conducted out of an office here in Las Cruces. The one thing that's actually being done on the property is there's a shop which contains Mr. Coronado's welding equipment. He does welding both recreationally and artisanally. He makes decorative gates. Those all occur indoors. They don't occur outdoors. They don't have additional impact upon the community other than in what anybody could construct in terms of their own hobby welding. He'll make a gate now and again, maybe 1 to 2 a week, as far as I understand. Some of those he donates. He's donated gates to churches. So he's carrying out in respect to the actual the conduct of any fabrication like activity as he would in the course of his artistry. So he does artwork in terms of the enclosed building is very much his shop where he began as a hobby that developed itself into a business. The storage area does not include any vehicle maintenance. Vehicle maintenance occurs elsewhere. Vehicles are washed, but they're washed with dish soap, no high density or dangerous detersives. I think one of the more important things that I would ask that the commissioner undertake is basically a piece of the applicant's position is that there is immediately adjacent and to the north of him a 5-acre tract that he also owns, which he is maintaining as a buffer because he doesn't want to overly impact the neighborhood. And he's actually willing to make a commitment to assure that that does not infill.
And to address the issues about these structures already in place, as Mr. Coronado mentioned, when he did purchase the lot, I believe it was in 2019, when he tried to essentially start building the structures on there, as he mentioned, and as you mentioned, had he gone to the county, which I believe it was closed at the time, as he mentioned, because of COVID, he would have learned or found out at that time to essentially do the application for the C3 zone change. However, as he mentioned, he's willing to he's try to come in compliance with the permits. He's willing to pay any and all fees or fines towards that. But to further address some of the I guess concerns of the community, as pointed out, the KOA is within the vicinity, as is, I believe, in a gun and ammunition shop within a mile or less than a mile radius, and a couple other businesses. I think, and I know this for because I represent another client near the vicinity. I believe there's a trailer park less than I believe half a mile away, which is also a business structure. However, in visiting the area with Mr. Sage, along with Mr. Coronado, we saw the most heaviest traffic flow was the KOA area. I believe we saw about 1 or 2 vehicles pass within that hour. So I don't necessarily believe that essentially traffic flow or anything would negatively impact the situation or the area. I do believe that it would be advantageous to the community, as Mr. Coronado stated to me and Mr. Sage, that he essentially provides a lot of the fence work and a lot of the work for the county, which essentially negates the county having to go and or the city having to go to some more local that are either more expensive or outsourced to El Paso, which also has a higher price. So I believe he is an advantageous part to the community. I don't think it would be a disharmony to the area as the residents surrounding him are not only are they in support, but it would go to essentially this other smaller businesses that are also locally owned there. So I believe it does essentially meet the goals of the community. And as also Mr. Coronado mentioned, he's actually paid, I believe last year, he paid over $70,000 in property taxes, which essentially goes to the county. I'm assuming if it does go up to a C3, his property taxes might increase, which he's completely fine with, is aware with. He just wants to continue to be a benefactor to the community.
And if I may, you know, in mentioning the proximity of the KOA immediately to the east, I don't think there's any question but that the KOA has, as a business, and a business which does in fact impact on traffic, does increase and contribute to the community as a whole. Older resident of Las Cruces in Doña County, remember when that was a relatively wasted site as the scenic lookout. The original purchasers of the KOA property capitalized on that, and they do a very good job of putting our community in a very good light. Now, a lot of the times people have benefited and actually directly benefited locally by virtue of the fact that, to be frank, a great number of people who pursue an RV life maybe aren't the best handlers of RVs. And 2 to 3 times a day, Mr. Coronado avails those people of the opportunity to turn around, get back on track, get to the KOA, and again, contribute to the local economy, as well as contributing to the perception of the local, not only the beauty of the city of Las Cruces and Doña County as a whole, but frankly, the friendliness of the people in Doña County. He's put himself out there. As I said, it's not just a matter of making and fabricating art that he has contributed to the community, donated to churches locally, but the fact that he is part of that neighborhood that contributes not only to that neighborhood, but to the community as a whole. So again, there's not fence manufacturing happening on the property. That always occurs on customer property. He does store some of his equipment. He does make, I'll tell you, beautiful gates. I didn't realize that they were being made here locally. I'm happy to know that they are, and I'm probably purchasing one. But that is a contribution to the community as a whole as well. And I just think that should be a mild consideration. And he has respectfully, I think at this point, approached the county and said, look, I want to come into compliance. I want to continue to remain in this community. I want to continue to contribute to this community. And I understand that he's saying, I understand the nature of the neighborhood. I put in a buffer of 5 acres that I don't want to have me have any neighbors or the neighbors have any neighbors. And I think that those neighbors, including the KOA, I think that the residents immediately to the north have indicated that they have an appreciation for his ability to do that. And the ability to do that comes in part from his ability to maintain a small yard and a small fabrication area where, again, I don't think there's anything occurring there that would not otherwise be able to occur within his own private garage in terms of being able to fabricate and create artwork.
And then to further that, I did look at the case analysis, and I did see essentially 3 of the things that they wanted to cut. Essentially, part 4 was that it doesn't complement the low residential area. They wanted to maintain essentially 3 parts of it. I saw how the community can benefit. As we mentioned, the community benefits by Mr. As well. It also touches on the second part, how it enhances competitiveness in the field. As Mr. Coronado had mentioned, he does create some of these fences locally for the county. We're looking at the work and quality of the work. as well as the low price that he does essentially do these fences and gates. It does not only enhance the competitiveness in the field, but it also does help out the community here locally. And lastly, it does preserve his heritage. I believe him coming here does promote the Las Cruces, the spirit of hardworking individuals. This is a migrant community with a lot of immigrants. His grandfather immigrated to New Mexico and essentially started this business on with his son, which is Mr. Coronel's father. And now the grandson is essentially taking this over. So essentially what Mr. Coronel is asking for is just what any person would ask for in his situation, is just given the chance to continue to do his work and help out the community. Me and Mr. Sage in our research, we haven't seen too many floods in that area. I don't
Not that we have an indication of any flood. I don't think Flood Commission found any problem. But as a flood.
Sorry, Flood Commission didn't find any problems. I believe in looking at the fire inspection, he was essentially in compliance. There wasn't really any dangerous fire issues there. And as mentioned, Mr. Coronel is willing to do whatever the county would want him to include in his structures to be in compliance with the zoning.
Mr. Coronado?
Yeah, and just to clarify, the 75,000 that wasn't in property taxes, it's been in taxes that the business has produced, that the business has paid at the end of the year for taxes. It hasn't been on the property taxes. He had that mixed up.
Thank you. Questions for the applicant? Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor or opposition of this case?
I have a Christopher, and I apologize, I don't know the last name. Okay, we can move on to Norma Ledesma. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Norma Ledesma, 631 South Wine Ridge.
Do you mind pulling the microphone?
I'm sorry. How's that?
Better, thank you. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. My concerns have been since the very beginning. We moved from a D1, I think it was, or a C1 to a C2, and now we're at a C3. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And it keeps moving. So that's my concern. And I also heard the term spot change. Is that correct? In one of the
Spot zoning.
spot zoning. What is a spot zoning?
Spot zoning basically is taking a piece of a property that's zoned one thing and changing it to something else.
Okay, so how I guess I'm opposing this because I'm a resident in that area, and this property has always been zoned, not that it can't change, but the property has always been zoned as a residential area. And now we're moving to commercial. And yes, the KOA was, I believe it's been grandfathered in the system as long as I've lived in Las Cruces, it's been there. But I'm afraid that it keeps growing and growing. And I've seen, because of where my house is located, I've seen where this fencing company keeps getting larger and larger and larger. It started in as a couple of sheds below the house, and now it's almost to the road, to Wine Ridge Road. And I'm not sure if it's over the arroyo or not. I'm not positive because I haven't walked out there to see if it's over the arroyo, but there is an arroyo that runs through there. And so I could just keep seeing all these changes happening, and who's monitoring the changes? Because apparently, based on the conversations that I've heard this morning, is no one had been watching this, and all of a sudden it's grown into a C3, and we're backpedaling to make it the proper zone. So I'm opposing this because I'm a resident in that area. And what guarantee as a resident do I have, or any other resident in that area, have that this isn't going to keep growing? Okay? And it looks like it is like a storage unit. I've never seen anything being built there. And it looks like they do use it as a storage place. But like I said, it keeps growing. And then I guess that's it. Okay.
And if I,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on this issue?
P. Martin Montoya.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Paul Martin Montoya, 635 Winery.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, I was here on the last meeting and it didn't, the engineer was there and he had a lot of stuff going on with building, COVID, and just not being checked. And, you know, everything's fine. I'm pretty much in compliance with the owner, Mr. Coronado, but I'm just afraid of too much expansion and too fast. We're not used to it. We've been there a long time. I like my way of life. And then something that came up today in the presentation, I saw something that I had a question on Plan 2040. I would like to get some clarification on that.
I can send you some information. It's a plan to look to the future growth.
Yes, there you go. That's what I was wanting to know more about and just trying to watch for the community. And that'll be all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get your email. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Christopher. Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Christopher Sienna 814.
Sir, can you move up to the microphone, please?
Christopher Sienna 814 Weinrich Road.
Thank
Do
you.
you affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Hello, I live on the KOA campground. I am part owner of the KOA campground. This gentleman has been nothing but an amazing neighbor. I support this 150%. He is nowhere near Weinrich. I am right on Weinrich. I look out to him. I have not seen his area expand except for this building when I came in in 2020. So all of this other stuff is untrue in my belief. He's a great neighbor, a great businessman, and I support it 120%.
Thank you.
Mile Blank. Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good morning. Mike Blank, 685 Lonesome Road.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I do. Hi, good morning. I'm here today because I'm here on behalf of Jose.
Move up the mic just a little bit.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm basically here today to support Jose. You know, he's a good guy. He's coming up through a family of hard workers who started this business, and they've kept it going for, I don't know how many years, but 3 generations is quite a long time. And as a young fella, he seems to be in the right direction, you know, working hard, keeping the family business going and contributing to the community. I've lived out there on Lonesome Road for a good 12 years plus, and I've been there when there wasn't anything there. And my good neighbor, Dean Anderson, sold Jose that piece of property. And I was very aware of it because I was good friends with the property owner originally. Obviously, when anything comes into your neighborhood, you're concerned about it. But hey, you know, we're all trying to work, we're all trying to make a living, support our families, and move forward in this life. I haven't had any bad dealings with Jose or his family. They've all been very nice in coming and going. Lonesome Road is a really small road. There might be about 8 properties total on it. As it is a dead-end road, there's not a lot of traffic that comes up there. In reality, the more, no offense to KOA, but
The people that come don't know how to follow GPS, and I've spent hours and hours and hours, I've lost track over the last 12 years, helping RVs unhook their cars, turn it around, and get them back in the right direction because the signage isn't properly labeled for the GPS followers to get to the KOA. So in reality, I've had way more trouble with traffic, road blockage, and inconveniences through the KOA's traffic than I ever have dealt with the fence company. Obviously, they access straight from Picacho. It's a, it can't be 100 feet from Picacho. It's off and on. I do see the trucks coming and going, but so am I. I live in the back, so I pass everybody's house as I come and go very respectfully each and every day. So as far as what we're dealing with here today, I'm in support of Jose, and understand change is inevitable for the world to keep growing, and I'm just proud of the guy for keeping a family going at such a young age and moving forward the way he has. So I appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you.
And Daryl?
I'm actually the owner of the real estate for
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
814 Wine Ridge Road, Las Cruces.
Can you state your name for?
Daryl Buck.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Thank you.
We've been there 4 years. My house is in the back corner of the KOA. We look out on his property. We literally, I could say in the last 4 years, I may have seen 6 vehicles delivering material to his location. As far as noise, because we're in the campground hospitality business, so I'm alert of noise, crime, problems in the area. There's nothing, no noise ever comes from his property. Like I said, and as far as the RVs passing his property, that is true, because I can see it out my kitchen window when I go, oh my God, what are these people doing? But that's because the county puts the sign right in front of his drive that says Wine Ridge. So they get confused. Change does happen. I mean, we've come in, we've improved the aesthetics. He's also done work for us at the campground. We have the tire shop up the street from him heading towards the I-10. We have 2 construction yards up there. They're all right on Picacho. It doesn't make sense that it's residential, that someone's going to come in and invest, $500,000-$600,000 to build a home on Picacho Avenue. So we're in support of it. It has not changed. It's been there. There's no noise. There's no traffic. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay. Comments from the commission?
I have a question for staff. Chris, could you give us a clarification, the difference between C2 and C3?
Yes, we're gonna look that up. So for C2, C2 permits a range of commercial activities that serve a community or several communities and allow larger commercial businesses. C3 is a regional commercial zone permits a wide range of regional commercial activities, generating large amounts of employment and traffic, serving a wide region of the county.
Okay, I guess my question is I'm curious as to why the request is for C3 instead of a C2, given that there is C2 property relatively close to this.
What triggered it was the fabrication of the fences there on site, not knowing, I think, the actual process of how much noise, but just the fact that fabricating is the highest end of the use, if you will, of commercial activity. So that we felt as a group, the planning committee thought that a C3 would be the best zone designation because of the fabrication. And there's also the welding, fabrication and welding.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, light manufacturing isn't allowed in C2. It's allowed in C3.
Okay,
So
say
C2.
that again, Albert?
C2 would not have allowed for light manufacturing.
Okay.
And so
So that's the difference between C2 and C3?
Yeah.
Okay,
The
great,
light
thanks.
manufacturing, yes.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to have a question of staff, if I could, please. What route would the applicant have to change this zoning besides coming to the planning commission? Would there be a way they could approach a change through perhaps government generally, like the commission, to actually change the zone itself? Or what path would there be for them? Is there a path?
Chair and Commissioner Underwood, the path is, I mean, he is seeking the path right now by applying for a zone change through the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Right, I understand that, but is there, aside from that, is there another avenue of approach to actually make a change in the plan without a full-fledged zoning change of across the board, the entire zoning map?
We rely a lot on, well, we basically rely on the land use matrix, which, it's, you have a table that's calling out proposed uses and where they're not allowed. Based on that matrix and based on the existing zoning, there was no avenue for maybe a special use permit, which wouldn't have changed the zone. The only option that was available to the applicant was to seek a zone change, and that was based on the existing zoning on the property and the proposed use.
Okay, thank you.
And we do want to make note that the applicant has tried to clear the violations on site, but we as a staff wanted the zone change to pass first. So the applicant is in favor of moving forward with complying, and this was the first step to that compliance.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Chair will entertain a motion.
For procedural purposes, I'll make the motion, but I think I'm going to indicate that I'm going to be opposed to it. For procedural purposes, I make the motion that we approve the requested zone change as requested.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And Mr. Chair, with that, I'm going to indicate that I'm going to vote against it for the following reasons. When we do, basically, it's not just the staff findings, but the fact that it was a self-imposed hardship. It was a decision made based on the applicant's decision to do something without a permit, and they would have found out, or they may have already known, as far as I know, but I can't presume that. But I would be voting against this motion.
Thank you. Okay, would you call the roll, please, Eileen?
Commissioner Jimenez,
No.
Commissioner Lear,
No.
Commissioner Underwood,
No.
Chair Zargis.
No. The motion has failed. I would suggest Mr. Coronado get with staff and find a way to proceed forward. Thank you. Okay. Next up, new business, case number Z24002 has been tabled till the next meeting. So we'll move on to the CRUA ETZ.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Albert.
For our last case today, we're going to be talking about it's basically amendment number 5, because we are amending the Unified Development Code. So just, to recap again, on July 27 of 2023, the Board of County Commissioners, they amended that existing JPA that we had with the City of Sun and Park, which originally created the CRUA area and established the ETZ authority, basically giving CRUA jurisdiction over land use and subdivisions. So that amendment that they did, it basically abolished the ETZ, that ETZ, and vests all land use authority in the Kura service area outside of the city limits to be regulated by the UDC, by the Unified Development Code. So that went back to the city of Sun Park, which, you know, they had a few minor changes, and then it was, you know, approved by the board or by the city of Sun Park. And then, of course, our board approved those on February 13th. So basically, we're just going back and forth, you know, with some amendments, and they all got accepted, and everybody signed off on them. The last one being the board on February 13th of 2024. Just a summary of public input meetings that we had for this amendment. We had a couple of public sessions down there in Kura. We had it at the Gaston Independent School District, you know, offices down there. We did have a public hearing here on February 22nd. And then, of course, today would be the day that we would be making a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. Besides that, what's not on here, what's not showing, it's also the work session that we had a couple weeks back. And then also, we did take this to the Development Review Committee, which is comprised of all the directors. You know, you have flood, utilities, engineering, and planning, and the fire marshal services, and they all gave a positive recommendation on on amendment number 5. And then hopefully moving forward, if we do get a recommendation today, we'll be taking this to the board on April 9th. Some of the issues that came up during the public input meetings. First one, we had about 14 constituents in attendance. Some of the general questions were, you know, what's my new zoning, or what's my existing zoning, what's the difference? You know, just those were just some of the general questions that we were fielding. We did have Dan Brown, which I believe is here today as well, also give us his input. And then on February 7th, some of the same questions, a little bit less of people in attendance. Marty Pillar was there to address some of the, some of staff's recommendations on the new urbanism district. So something that I haven't shown before, it's, what's there right now. That whole area that's in gray, those are the existing limits of the city of Sun Park. The brownish PD area right here, basically what the PD is, it's anything goes in that area. As long as you meet all of the development standards, you submit either a PUD application for those most intense use. If it's commercial or non-residential, as long as you get an engineer to come up with the site plan, and as long as it's vetted by all of the reviewing agencies, you basically have an approval. Some of the PUDs that we've done out there involve solar facilities. We've done batching plants, rock quarries. Those are some of the most intense uses that we've seen in the performance district. Also existing out there, of course, closer towards the border, we have all of our CI2s. That's the industrial park as well with the CI2. We do have some PUD2 up here next to the airport. And then, of course, the existing new urbanism district that's here in this area. And then that's the proposed zoning map. One big difference that we can see out here is that we're basically giving out a whole lot more I2 out in the area. So we're basically getting rid of the performance district. That's a major change. We are keeping this as T2, as a request by the property owner out there, Chris Lyons. And then previously we were showing a big old strip right here of CI3. Staff went ahead and we just went ahead and downzoned it to CI2. We did speak with Chris Lyons, and he was okay with that. But so far, that's been the major change. And here I'm just zooming in on, I would call this just the northern half of that Kura area. So once again, we're looking at the existing, what's there, and what's basically being proposed. I would say that also a major difference is we have a lot of PED2 up here. And then just to remind you, I mean, PED, that's one of the most intense categories, industrial categories that you can have up there. We also have a block of PED1, which is a zoning designation that allows for mixed uses of residential and commercial. Right now, what we are proposing, it's D1L on that area that was PED2 and PED1. D1L is single-family residential. And then on the southern half, like I said before, there is a lot of PD, and that's basically what's being proposed. We do have some, basically most of it is going to be I2. There's some nodes here of C2. We got rid of that CI3 over here, and then just went ahead and gave it the I2, and still keeping the new urbanism district here intact. The old railroad right-of-way, because it's being maintained by BLM, we just went ahead and gave it that federal designation. And of course, we have no jurisdiction over state lands. That's why they have that state or federal designation.
Albert, what's that C3 out there? The C3 way off to the left.
Oh, this one over here? Yeah, I think that Ginny is correct in that. The old racetrack that was out there.
Okay, thank you.
And then, of course, on your packet, I mean, you've already seen this info. We do have the existing zoning districts that are there versus the proposed zoning districts. And that's just a close-up of the new urbanism district that it is going to be included in our code as a whole. It's going to be on its own separate appendix. These are the land use, the definitions within that new urbanism district. So our recommendation today is for the P&Z to make a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the following to be implemented in the former Kura ETZ for the unincorporated areas of the county. We are talking about resolution number 2015-54, which is Plan 2040, which is a comp plan, Chapter 350, the Unified Development Code. We're also looking for the new urbanism district regulations to be applied in the Kura area as Article 8, Appendix DD, which would be the new urbanism district regulations, and also adopt the Kura zoning map as Article 9, which would be the official zoning map of Doña County. So those are, this is, the recommendation that staff is seeking from the P&Z to the Board of County Commissioners. We do stand for questions. And I believe we do have people here in the audience as well that might want to give a little bit of input on that as well.
Mr. Chair, I have a question of staff. If I can.
Go ahead, Commissioner Underwood.
This has got to be a dumb question, I assure you. But I feel the need to ask it. The new urbanism that if you could scroll back to that, wherever it was, the new urbanism district regulations, has there been any sort of cross-check between any regulation or proposed regulation or standard or anything like that with things like the Unified Development Code or the current comprehensive plan? Has there been any cross-check? I remember a time where there was a case of, and it was in another country, but there was a case of a building code and a fire code both being adopted, and they had multiple conflicts. And I'm just wondering, has anyone done any sort of cross-check?
We have, and the finding is that they don't exactly match together. So instead of, staff felt that instead of rewriting the whole Unified Development Code to kind of meet, the standards that were already adopted within within that new urbanism district. Staff just felt that it was just better to keep it as its own separate little ordinance within our ordinance.
Okay.
That was the easiest way to move forward on this. There's been a lot of monies invested already on this code. I mean, this district has been in existence since at least I believe it's 2005 that it's been there, and now they're barely getting started on actually developing the area.
Right.
So staff felt that was the best approach to this. Just taking that whole code. There were some minor amendments that the property owner wanted to include in there. Those minor amendments included setbacks to some of the zoning districts, and then also the minimum width of some of the utility easements. I think they had them at 12, and they wanted them at 15. They actually wanted to increase the utility easements just because that's what's being used right now. But those were just some of the minor changes that they proposed. But basically, other than that whole code, it's basically intact. And we're keeping it separate from the UDC, so that way, we don't have to modify the whole code.
Is there something like a hierarchy between the different things, the UDC and the comprehensive plan, the new urbanism? Is there a hierarchy? In other words, this would trump over that?
No, I mean, they basically have their own code.
They're independent.
They're independent,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Now, if the applicant wanted to, follow UDC standards, I don't think there would be any opposition from.
Now I
from
understand.
staff.
I got it. Thank you.
Dan? Okay, this new urbanism zone, I guess I have a problem with it in that it goes back to the old multi-use PD thing. And it was brought up by one of the contractors at the public hearing. Why is it that across the street can't be incorporated into that multi-use type zone? Can that new urbanism be added now and reapplied to, say, getting rid of transect zones or something like that?
I mean, do you have any? The community type would be the closest thing. And I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the community types, that effort that we tried to do when we were trying to adopt the UDC. Basically, a community type, it's a planned district. It's basically a PUD, a plan unit development, where the applicant comes in, with their proposal of mixed uses. So, I mean, that could have been, one way around it. But like I said, I mean, there's been so much invested already in this. Just to take that away from those property owners, I think we would be doing some kind of an injustice to them. I think Chris Lyons already said that there's at least been a couple $1 million already invested in this project. So we were trying to basically, cause as minimum problems as we could, not just to us, but to property owners out there. Could we have? Probably, but it wouldn't have been the exact same standards that they've already come up with.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Are there anyone to speak on this?
And Albert did bring up a good point, that it is currently zoned, the new urbanist district. We just don't have the standards in place in our ordinance, because we are transitioning from Sunland Park's ordinance to our ordinance. But it is currently map zoned this way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We did have somebody that would like to speak.
Oh, Dan Brown. Okay. My name is Dan Brown. I've been a developer and a home builder in the Santa Teresa Sunland Park area for 33 years. Came out from the field this morning, so this is, you see what you see. So I think the new urbanism, the new planning that has taken place, and I have been a part of that planning over the course of years. I have been very much an advocate for planned developments that are inclusive the connectivities of neighborhoods, businesses, parks, areas for families to enjoy. And I think what has been accomplished has been quite well. And so I don't have an argument with the way and the process of this is going on, other than I own, along with others, and I represent a group that we own a pretty considerable amount of property there that's affected by this zoning, 730 acres. And so my question is simply, when we bought the property, and we bought it quite some time ago, around 12 years ago, for knowing that sooner or later that there would become a time for development and planning. This does require a lot of master planning and a lot of working with the county as we move forward on master planning this particular piece of property. So when we bought it, it was PUD 1, which is a mixed use. It was really nice zoning. It's what we like. And now with the new zoning, and so my question is, I believe that 730 acres, and my eyesight's, somewhat good, but maybe not perfect, is that rather than doing a blanket classification, and I made this request in 2 work sessions that we've had in Santa Teresa, that this particular piece be zoned with the MU new zoning that corresponds pretty closely with the PUD 1. And I don't know what, is it D, what was the zoning for that? Yeah. And so my request would be that we could carve that out for an MU, because it is perhaps the single most largest piece of property that would be affected by residential, and I'm a residential developer, residential use and mixed use, multifamily, smaller lots, the connectivity of paths and bike paths and a master plan that corresponds with the planning that the county has worked so hard for. So that's it. Is that somehow we could at least take that 730 acres, and I made it known if we can make sure that that's classified, rather than having to go back to the county at a future date and ask for rezoning, when we could probably maybe take care of that now. So the bottom line is, I like what's being done. I like all the classifications. I'm not asking for a particular type of a different zoning of the new zoning that's being presented, other than to make sure that that particular piece of property is zoned under the new MU rather than a D1L. And that's it. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure.
That piece right there.
So just to clarify, right now, what Mr. Brown is talking about, it's going to be all this purplish right here area that's being zoned, that's being depicted as PUD 1. We've already seen that the city of Sunland Park, they've already done a lot of annexations. And then just as a point of reference, this is Pete Dominici right here. That's Pete Dominici right there. I believe this is Airport Road that goes all the way into the city of Sunland Park. So his property is basically on the north. You have Airport Road, and then on the west you'll have Pete Dominici, but not exactly touching that area. So this is all that PUD 1. The 700 acres that Mr. Dan Brown is talking about, where right now we're basically calling it out as a D1L for that. So going from PUD 1 and to D1L. And then down here you can kind of see the southern portion of it. And then also being called out as a D1L parcel.
It's the majority, it's not completely, can I use that mouse? Sure. Maybe if you could take it to that, it's the one you just, right, and then, sure, yeah, that's good.
So you're right here.
So I'll move this mouse. So right here where this little band, it goes, I'm gonna just move it kind of slowly for my own sake. And it goes right to that point, and it curves right down through here, right by the railroad track. Actually, it goes down to here, and then all the way up to Airport Road. So here, see there, and there's a piece, we don't have that. So it's all of this right here. So the majority of that DL1 is, I would request for an MU zoning. And that's it. Does
Sir,
that help,
please,
Janine?
please go speak into the microphone.
So that's my request, and hopefully I was able to, did that help you on where that property is located?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and if I may digress, in 2018, we held public hearings down when we were initially doing the zoning.
Yes.
As you recall. And we had several stakeholder meetings, several public hearings with the public, and the majority of opposition that we received, because we did that entire PUD 1 to MU, the residents were opposed to that in general because there was no predictability with the MU zoning, because we do allow low-density, high-density residential as well as a mix of commercial uses, although the commercial uses are limited in scope, they're
limited.
small scale. The residents didn't like that. So that's why on this go-round, we just put it all in D1L. And when Dan and I were talking at the last public hearing, I suggested that he submit to us a master plan. And perhaps we could do the zoning based upon that master plan. So I personally feel that when you're ready to develop, you can come in for the master plan, and we can look at each parcel as a whole and then go that route.
In my, and that's, Jeannie, that's good. My experience is master plans, it takes a long time to develop a master plan, especially when you're trying to predict the future of growth and what you want a master plan about. What I do know is that, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I just know, I'm just trying to take out the steps of aggravation or time that, because I'm very much on board with all this going on. I just don't want to be hit with, the process of having to rezone parts when it's already zoned for a multi-use. And in that time period, since then, I have also talked to a lot of other landowners. There's really not all the developable land now is owned by just a handful of landowners. The residences do look towards developers that are interested and want master plans of where it's a master plan. It's just not homes and homes just shoved in, but where there's a nice planned development, a community that helps everyone and people love to go to, where there's open areas and there's parks and bike trails and things that are needed, rather than, because right now, that's not the direction of development. So this is a good step. So my argument, it's not even an argument, is that multi-use is, even now has a different, I've talked to a lot of homeowners out there, Janine. It does not have the, more of the understanding is that it is more prevalent to the use of good and proper land use that I think that corresponds with the vision of the county. And I think we're talking about the same things that we want, just taking out a piece of aggravation later on in the future of having to sit down and say, okay, all right, do we have to go through a whole rezoning process? Do we have to make an application? Do we have to have rehearings? Whereas if it's a multi-use, we could sit down collectively as a team between developer and the county and help design the plan. And that's all I'm saying. I might not be communicating it properly,
No,
but I think we all want the same thing.
yep, we understand. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Guess we're looking for a motion. The motion would be to recommend to the BOCC. It's not an action that we're taking here.
Mr. Chairman, I'll try the motion, see if I get this right.
Commissioner Underwood?
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the recommendation by staff as outlined by the 5 bullet points in the packet that we have, which is to recommend the authority, well, basically, can I leave it at that and then without having to read everything in the item? So my recommendation is to approve the request made by staff that is in the 5 bullet points on the recommendation on the submittal submitted to us.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Or so basically what the motion is to recommend to the BOCC approval of the extraterrestrial, I'm sorry, I've been watching Star Trek lately. The extraterritorial zone changes and the addition to Appendix DD. There being no further discussion, would you call the roll, please, Eileen?
Commissioner Underwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Lear,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Chair Zargis.
Yes. The motion is passed. Next up, administrative approvals. Janine?
We don't have any at this point, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Staff input?
Just to recap, this will go before the Board of County Commissioners on April 9th for a public hearing.
Just, we do have a PNC on March, 2 weeks from now, so.
Thank you. Commission input? We all had enough this morning, okay. I guess that being the case, we are adjourned, 10:25 a.m. Thank you very much. Oh, one last thing before, just wanted to recognize Brent back there, Brent Westmoreland.